Hello and welcome to Mo Recaps. Today I will recap a movie called The Kindergarten Teacher. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The story circles around Lisa, played by Maggie Gyllenhaal. Together with her assistant Megan, played by Anna Baryshnikov, Lisa teaches kindergarten on Staten Island. She is passionate about what she does and constantly makes sure that her kids are having fun while learning. The children there adore Lisa, but she can't help but feel unhappy with life. She attends Simon's, played by Gael Garcia Bernal, poetry class once a week, but her work is consistently criticized as being dull or derivative. Grant, played by Michael Chernus, her husband, never stops being encouraging, eager to read her poetry and prodding her to write more. Lisa still adores her husband after so many years of marriage, but she can't help but feel impatient with the lack of passion in their relationship. Josh, Sam Jules, and Lainey, played by Daisy Tahan, the couple's two teenage children, are difficult for Lisa to reach. When infants do respond, they typically ignore their parents and use monosyllables. Additionally, they would rather eat outside in the garden with friends than as a family at the table. Jimmy, Parker Sevick, is pacing the classroom one afternoon after Lisa's class is over while he waits to be picked up. Lisa then overhears him utter something astounding. He recites a complete poem of his creation that covers intricate ideas like beauty and God. Lisa doesn't spend any time penning the poetry down after being amazed and astonished by such a skill appearing at such a young age. When Jimmy's nanny Becca, played by Rosa Salazar, arrives to fetch him up, Lisa requests a favor. She should record any poems Jimmy recipes at home. Later that night, Lisa joyfully reads Grant the poem. Grant believes it is lovely, but he also finds it odd that a young child speaks in such an adult manner. The following day, Lisa delivered the poem aloud in class while pretending it was her own. For the first time, her classmates and even Simon himself applaud her. After that, Lisa starts to watch Jimmy more closely because she wants to see what else such a creative mind can conjure up. When she overhears him using an offensive remark in the playground one day, she punishes him by bringing him home for a timeout. When Lisa finds Jimmy in the classroom, she asks him about his poem and inquires whether the Anna it refers to as his mother. Jimmy, though, claims that his mother has passed away and is not interested in talking about poetry. Jimmy doesn't respond when Lisa encourages him to discover new feelings in ordinary objects and recites an ancient poem as she notices Jimmy is more interested in the things strewn about the room. When class is finished, Lisa briefly leaves Jimmy with Megan so she can speak with Becca. Becca concurs with Lisa when she says Jimmy changed from being active on the playground to silent in class because he is a weirdo, and she adds that Jimmy behaves the same way at home all the time. Although Lisa doesn't like the word being used, she chooses to disregard it for the time being and instead inquire about the poems. Since his family ignores him, his father is constantly at work, and his mother is abroad in Miami, Jimmy believes she has passed away. As a result, Becca is the only one at home who knows that Jimmy occasionally speaks poems. Jimmy's uncle, who regularly visits and reads to his nephew, is the relative who spends the most time with Jimmy. Lisa thanks Jimmy for the encouragement and expresses her disapproval of Becca as they part ways, but not before Becca presents her with another poem Jimmy composed at home the day before. Later, Lisa performs Jimmy's most recent poetry for the class, winning Lisa more admiration. Nonetheless, some pupils become a little angry since her poem doesn't suit the work they were given. However, Simon loves it so much that he instantly invents the defense that his assignments aren't supposed to be literal, only prompts in case they need them to defend her. When Lisa gets home, she's in such a good mood that she attempts to get to know Lainey and remarks on how interested in the photography she used to be, especially considering how skilled she was with Grant's camera. Unfortunately, Lainey is content to shoot a few images with her phone for her Instagram and has little interest in using an old-fashioned camera, which deeply disappoints Lisa because she doesn't see its artistic value. After that, Lisa attempts to contact Jimmy's father to discuss his son's skills but is received with a voicemail. It has happened before. Lisa has been trying to reach him for days, but he has never called back. Later, when everyone in the class is taking a nap, Lisa wakes Jimmy up and takes him to the teacher's restroom. There, Lisa can excite Jimmy about hearing an adult's perspective. He feels enormous and likes looking around, but after a while, he grows restless and asks to resume his nap. After getting him to vow that he'll consider more about seeing the world through diverse perspectives, Lisa lets him go. In the end, Lisa's efforts pay off as Jimmy recites new, lovely poetry, which she is surprised to hear because she cannot write down the entirety, and Jimmy declines to repeat it. Even though Megan is nearby, she ignores Jimmy because she thinks he's singing some stupid tune, which irritates Lisa with her lack of respect for his incredible gift. Lisa bombards Becca with questions when she arrives to pick up Jimmy, wondering how many significant lyrical moments they are missing and if Becca is the one who tucks Jimmy in at night. Becca is starting to feel uncomfortable with all the questions, but she cooperates when Jimmy approaches her and begs him to let her know when he has an idea for a poem so she can help. Lisa's fascination is getting creepier and more significant every day. She meets with Jimmy's newspaper working uncle Sanjay, Samrat Chakrabarti, one day. In her attempt to defend Jimmy's gift in the face of a culture intended to destroy it, Lisa unintentionally launches into a tirade against her kids, who refuse to read and lack interest. She also criticizes Becca for treating Jimmy like a kid and undermining his abilities. Sanjay vows to keep seeing Jimmy and reading with him, but he feels that Lisa should be having this conversation also with his father, so he'll try to get his brother to give her a call. Later, when Jimmy's father hasn't called her yet, Lisa engages in incredibly creepy behavior by stealing Jimmy's phone from his bag. Once more, she wakes the kid up during rest time to bring him outdoors and demonstrate how to save her phone number so that he can call her and recite poems whenever they come to mind at home. She also warns him against allowing Becca to refer to him as a little bunny, because it is demeaning. The situation at home isn't much better either. Lisa and Grant are upset that Josh has opted to drop all his coursework and letters of acceptance to universities to join the Marines. Josh blames Lisa for only worrying about the accomplishments in her brain during the ensuing dispute, which leaves her in tears. After Josh leaves, Grant starts making out with her in the living room to try to divert and console his wife. Lisa is initially involved in it, but she quickly loses interest as her phone rings and reveals that Jimmy has sent her another poem. When Grant notices he is being ignored, disappointment takes over, and he gets dressed again to pass the time. The following day at school, Lisa complimented Jimmy on his poetry and the fact that he called her. She also uses the occasion to read one of her poems. Jimmy doesn't say anything, but he doesn't appear impressed. Later, Lisa surprises herself by coming home to see that her kids are hosting a pot-infused pool party. She furiously confronts Lainey and causes a scene while lamenting the lack of intellectualism and curiosity in the home. In response, Lainey becomes enraged and calls her mother out for not appreciating the decent grades she receives and acting as if she has a high IQ merely because she is enrolled in a poetry class. Following Lainey's departure, Lisa decided to smoke a pack of cigarettes she had stashed in the garden while making a quick call to Jimmy to say hello. A few days later, Simon gives Lisa another glowing review of her most recent work and calls her into his office to extend an invitation to read some of her poems at a poetry reading event that his favorite bar frequently hosts. Naturally, Lisa agrees before reading the poetry he read to Jimmy, but Simon isn't as excited about this one. He starts talking about the academic writing that went into her other poems that he doesn't know were stolen, and gets so fired up thinking about them that he starts making out with Lisa on the office floor. Although they had a good time, it is clear that Simon is more drawn to Lisa's paintings than to Lisa's personally. After giving Simon's response to her poem a lot of thought, Lisa ultimately decides that Jimmy should be the one who will perform his poetry in front of an audience. Jimmy agrees when she pitches the idea, and Lisa starts skipping class to drive him to the school auditorium so he can rehearse. Lisa ultimately gives up waiting for a call in the evening and arrives at the pub where Jimmy's dad Nikhil, Ajay Naidu, works. Nikhil is pleased to learn that his young son is intelligent, but Lisa urges for more, saying Becca handles him like a puppy and that his ability needs to be developed. Nikhil sympathizes with Lisa's worries and wants to help his son, but he also does not want him to follow in the footsteps of Sanjay, a failed author who now ekes out a living correcting spelling errors for the newspaper. Nikhil accepts Lisa's offer to watch Jimmy for a couple of hours in the afternoon in place of Becca so that she may engage him in the proper activities while he can continue living everyday life the rest of the time. When Lisa mentions the Thursday poetry reading, Nikhil prevents them from attending since Jimmy has softball practice with a friend on that day and maintaining the daily routine is more crucial. From that point on, Lisa starts looking after Jimmy and takes advantage of the opportunity to take him to other exciting locations, like museums. Lisa lies and says Jimmy hasn't been feeling well, so he won't go to baseball on Thursday. As an alternative, Mother puts Jimmy in a cute little suit and drives him to the poetry reading. Because of all the preparation they put into it, Jimmy performs flawlessly and reads his poems on stage. When others inquire about who wrote them, Lisa responds that Jimmy did, disregarding the presence of Simon. The identity of the Anna in the poem is also a question, so Jimmy responds by saying that she can be anybody out there you love. In this case, Anna is Megan. Lisa is heartbroken to hear her helper's identity rather than her own and rushes to the restroom to sob. Jimmy follows her out of concern, but Lisa asks him to wait outside after telling him how thrilled she is about him. After gathering herself, Lisa exits the restroom and becomes distraught when she can't find Jimmy. Fortunately, Jimmy is sitting next to Simon. However, her joy is regrettably short-lived since as soon as he notices her, Simon tells her that she is no longer permitted to be in the class and blames her for stealing from a youngster. Most of the time, they depart the pub. It is so late, and Lisa believes it is best to bring Jimmy home, where she would put him on the couch to sleep. Grant wakes as Lisa climbs into her bed and wonders if she is ashamed of her kids after Josh admitted that Lisa appeared disappointed in them when she left earlier. Lisa claims that is not the case, but there is some hesitation. When Jimmy doesn't attend class the following day and won't pick up the phone, Lisa becomes agitated. When she eventually receives a call from his caller ID, it's Nikhil shouting at Lisa for what she has done and telling her Jimmy is being sent to another school. Lisa returned to class, pretending everything was expected, but moments later, she started crying in front of her entire class. Lisa leaves for home after work with a strategy in mind. Despite how ridiculous her devotion is, it prevents her from giving up. However, she must first make reparations to her family. She puts on an extra sweet front for Grant and persuades her kids to remain for dinner so they can all eat a good meal. Josh tells Lainey everything about his success with the Marine meetings, happy to have some support finally, and she accepts her apology for snapping at her during the party. The following morning, Lisa leaves the house with a suitcase in the car and bids Grant bye with more tenderness than usual. She visits Jimmy's home rather than going to work on finding out which school the poor youngster has been relocated to by following Nikhil's car. A few moments later, while Jimmy's class takes place on the playground, Lisa goes to the backyard fence to ask Jimmy to join her for a swim because she knows how much he enjoys it. Jimmy agrees and admits he misses her, which then, in Lisa's delusional thinking, means she's acting morally. By showing Jimmy how to unlock the door, Lisa can kidnap him. The two then journey to a beach in the north, even though Lisa admits their ultimate aim is Canada. Jimmy enjoys himself so much when they're having fun in the water together that he is even moved to write another poem. They spend the night in a hotel after that. After Jimmy has finished his shower, Lisa follows, but she hardly has a chance to bathe before she hears an odd noise. Jimmy has purposefully shut the bathroom door. Lisa tries to bribe Jimmy with assurances of much more enjoyment and ice cream since she desperately wants to win this round, but Jimmy ignores her and picks up the phone despite having problems using it. There is no way out of this, so Lisa is forced to admit defeat and attempt to wrap things up as gently as possible to save the poor child any grief. Jimmy needs to call 911. Lisa tells him as she sobs uncontrollably, even though he has no issue saying kidnapped by himself. Before requesting that he tell the police that Lisa is not armed, Lisa also provides him with the hotel's name and room number. After the call is finished, Lisa can persuade Jimmy just to let her leave so she can change before the cops show up. Even if she kidnaps him, Jimmy moves closer and takes her hand as she brushes her hair because he doesn't want to see her miserable. The police show up quickly, and once they do, they immediately pick up Jimmy and put him inside the protection of their car. Jimmy, overjoyed, declares that he now has a new poem, but no one pays attention. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the video for more videos like this.